Hello, good evening. Here I am again to go through the second tarot deck that we were talking about earlier on. As you know, I did the walkthrough of the Alchemical Visions Tarot, and now it's the Druidcraft Tarot. This Druidcraft Tarot comes in a different box. It's not the magnetic closing, it is more of a draw system. So your cards go into the box and they're in two trays. I've taken them out because they were quite difficult to get out. When you take the plastic binding off them, they sort of sit in the box, so you have to be very careful. If you're tipping them out, you're covering one side, otherwise they will go everywhere. So that's the only thing I would have to have a complaint about the packing, is I have another deck that has these drawers, and as much as the boxes are lovely and strong, they can be quite frustrating to deal with. So, like I say, this is the Druidcraft Tarot. It's a beautiful looking deck, and it's quite informative too. I'm just going to read the back to you, and then we'll go through aspects from the book. Let the Druidcraft path show you the way. At a time when we seek a closer connection with the natural world, this beautiful deck invites us to celebrate the earth and the rhythm of her seasons. Combining the two great streams of Western pagan traditions, Wicca and Druidry, Philip and Stephanie Cargam, together with artist Will Worthington, have created a tarot of extraordinary depth and relevance that can help guide and illuminate your life. The Druidcraft Tarot's powerful images have emerged from the vast store of teachings and storytelling rooted deep in our ancient past. Use them as gateways to your inner spiritual world and deepen your knowledge of yourself and of the earth. Let the natural wisdom of Druidcraft bring you insight and inspiration for the life issues that you face today. It has a couple of pictures here on the back of the different cards in the deck, and then goes on to tell us that there are 78 cards plus a 192-page guidebook. Right, let's have a look at the guidebook first. So the guidebook is actually a lovely, strongly bound book. Okay, it's I love that this is the magician on the front here, and it's a glossy cover and very, very a nice size to handle. Now, the book is set up rather differently to many of the books that I've come across in tarot decks. When you buy the kit, I'm not talking about the small white book now, but when you buy a tarot kit and you have a book that comes with that kit, usually you have your introduction, you have a little bit about the author and the artist, then you have the major arcana going from the Fool through to the World, and then the minor arcana. Sometimes within the minor arcana you get the court cards of each suit. Other times you have the minor arcana from the Ace through to 10, and then at the back you have another section for court cards. This is set out rather differently. They have set it out in a manner where we look at there's an introduction initially, then we look at the outer mysteries and then the inner mysteries. Now, it's almost, you can envisage two circles, okay, an outer circle and an inner circle. On the outer mysteries, we have the court cards, which are your princesses, prince, queens and kings, and then the pip cards from the Ace right the way through to the 10. But it's not in suits either. It's in the pip groups, so all the aces, all the 2s, all the 3s, 4s, 5, etc, etc. Then we have the inner mysteries, and the inner mysteries are all the major arcana cards from the Fool right through all the major arcana to the World. Then at the back of the book, from page 167, how to use the cards. What I like about this, on page 190, there's further reading and further resources. So if you were to look at this and you want to say, we know that this deck is all deeply, all the images and all the information has been taken from Wicca and Druidry. So if we want to know more about that, where it's come from, we've got general information there, we've got references there. It gives us resources to learn more about the common ground shared by the Druid Druidry and the craft, and for information on performing a home blessing, etc., etc. It gives you who to see, what books to refer to, and different resources for tarot decks and books and themes, etc. Tells a bit about the artist and the author. So that is the book, really. We've got the different reading layouts at the back, which is there's the simple reading, which is the hexagram spread, and then we have, which one is this? Let's have a look. The Spirits of the Circle spread. Very interesting. So those are things that we can read up upon at our own, in our own time. Each of the cards are the major arcana. You have a small picture and a little bit about it, and the minor arcana, there are no pictures. It's just all, you just read about each one. There are a couple of things that I like about this that I will, when I get to it, I'll highlight it to you. And it's the change in the names of some of the cards in the major arcana, which I actually found not just quirky, but I could relate to it quite deeply. And I'll explain to you why in a second. So I'll just move these out of the way so that I can get the cards out here and we can have a look here. So we'll take the major arcana first. Now the cards are quite big. It's quite a nice cardstock, not too shabby. That's the back of the card. It's simple enough, nice, I like it. I love this. If you look closely, you can see that that's a sort of a Celtic emblem there. And they're a brown. Sorry about the light, I'm doing this in the evening time, so I don't have all the major lights, otherwise the glare would be horrific. So let's have a look. Just make sure I've got all the major arcana here first before I move on. I have. So we'll start off with the Fool. And I really do like this image of the Fool in this deck. It really is full of innocence. This Fool is carrying mistletoe rather than the white flower. If you look very closely, there you go. You can see the mistletoe there in our Fool's hand. And going happily along her way. I do feel that this Fool is female. Just look, it looks so pretty, and there you go. Just very feminine. And is she just going to leap off? She's stepping down. What's she doing? She's really just letting the wind blow her through her hair at the moment while she's making a decision on what path she's going to take and where she's going to go next. Now let's have a look. So just bear with me a second. I've left a torch on here. Why? I don't know. My next card is the Magician. As above, so below stance. There you go. You can see our Magician there, looking really powerful. That looks like he's standing in front of the stones at Stonehenge. That's really beautiful. We then have the High Priestess. I do like this High Priestess. To me, this is, albeit she's the High Priestess, it's almost like she's I'm just trying. There's something magical about this High Priestess. More simpler looking than the priestesses we've seen in other decks, but I would say more powerful. Almost like she's invoking spirit and invoking knowledge to come to her, in order that she has all the information she needs to be able to deal with things on a daily basis. She has higher knowledge, and hoping that knowledge comes to us sooner rather than later. Look at that, isn't it beautiful? It's a really earthy feel to it. The Lady is the Empress. The Empress that we usually call Empress is called the Lady. Now, she's quite heavily pregnant. Everything is all about rebirth, new growth, the planting of seeds and ideas, and just everything beginning new and fresh. We then have the Lord, so the Emperor is referred to as the Lord. We have the Lord and Lady as opposed to the Emperor and Empress. It's beautiful, isn't it? Absolutely gorgeous drawings. Then we have the High Priest as opposed to the Hierophant. The High Priest. he reminds me very much of a Viking more than a Druid. You have a close look. The horns on the seat behind him. It does look, they're so colourful. Then we have the lovers. Now, albeit this is a lovely lovers card, it reminds me very much of the lovers card in the Morgan Greer deck. This is more detailed, but I don't know what there is. It's just a similarity that sort of brings the Morgan Greer deck to mind. Now, I love the Chariot. For once, it's been driven by a woman who's really looking like she's got that mammy look about her, but a no-nonsense look too. Nobody's going to tell her which way she's going to go in life. She's going to do her own thing. Then we have Strength, and Strength against a beautiful card. And instead of our usual lion, we have a boar, wild boar. There we go. And we have our Hermit, and usually our Hermit's on his own. However, in the Druidcraft Tarot, he's got a companion there in the form of his dog. We then have the Wheel. There we go. The wheel there is being drawn in the sand by a young Wiccan or young witch. Then we have Justice. I love this Justice card. There's the wise old owl, almost acting like a court advisor. We have the Scales of Justice and the Sword of Justice. And there's nothing going to get past this person. Beautiful. Following Justice, we have the Hanged Man. So Justice is being dealt with, and the man is being hung by his feet on a tree. Then we have Death. This is an unusual death card. It's almost like an old crone who's using a skull and creating a spell. Possibly a spell for, you know, getting rid of the old, sorting out issues, getting rid of what no longer serves our purpose, making way for new things. After Death, we have the card called Fairest. Now, I'm pronouncing it how I would if I was at home in Wales, the double L sound. The Fairest, F-F-E-R-Y-L-L-T, two F's make the F sound, double L. So the Fairest, okay? Now, what is the Fairest? Well, in our traditional tarot cards, this would be our Temperance card, okay? And the Fairest is almost like a Druid alchemist, really, and sort of, as they would say, a conduit of the universe, okay? Sort of a free-flowing between the two worlds, that, you know, the heavens and here, creativity, alchemy, magic, anything craft and good and new, you know, and peace. So everything's flowing nicely, okay? So that's the Fairest, and that would have been our Temperance card in a traditional deck. Now, I've done some reading. When I saw the word Fairest, I thought, oh gosh, it's a little bit of Cymraeg here in the cards, which was nice to see. And then I sort of Googled it, researched it a little bit, and there were parts that made me laugh, and I've written it down here to share with you. So the Fairest is the Welsh spelling, put my teeth back in, the Welsh spelling for Virgil. So it's the book of Fairest, is the book of Virgil. Now, there was somebody else by the name of Douglas Munro who had written a book called The 21 Lessons of Merlin by Douglas Munro. And Douglas Munro was neither Welsh nor Irish, so he wasn't a Celt, and he referred to the book of Fairest as the 16th century manuscript of arcane Welsh mystical learnings, which, as it happens, is a load of tosh. That's not it at all. As we know, Fairest is the Welsh word for Virgil. The Book of Virgil. Virgil was a poet in I think it was the 16th and 17th century, and it wasn't until after he died. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, he was Latin. Virgil, the Book of Virgil, was a excuse me, Latin poems. He was sort of from. Sorry, I've got. 70 to 19 BCE, okay, and his work only became known after his death. So it's got nothing to do with Douglas Munro's book about the 21, what was it called, 21 Lessons of Merlin. Just to give you a heads up on that, and you can research that if you go on to see Celtic Studies resources on Google if you want to read more about this. What this has a link to the stories, the Hanes Taliesin, the history of Taliesin, which is more Welsh folk tales. That's where you get the stories of Taliesin, which comes in and does refer to the Fairest. You'll find that there, but that's all in mythical tales. After that, we've got Cernunnos. Now, Cernunnos is the horned god, okay? He's the horned god of the Celtic Druids, or was it Wiccas or Druids? I'm not sure. I didn't make note of that. I should have done. But like I say, he was known as the horned god of the forests, and he protected the princess and the children, the queen and the children, okay? And he was the god of Wicca, okay? So that's where he comes in. Now, after that, we have the tower, which again is like our usual tower. Then we have the star. The moon. I like that moon. If you look, the dogs are almost, when you look carefully, you think it's 4 dogs, but there's the 2 sort of rocks there, and the dogs are almost creating the same shapes as the rocks. Then we have the sun, which is pretty much like our traditional sun, the child on horseback. The sun shining brightly down on him. We've then got the card Rebirth, which I would say be our judgment card, which is all about rebirth, looking back on our life, seeing what we don't like about it and changing it and doing things anew for ourselves. And then we come to the world. And those are our major arcana cards in the Druid Craft Tarot. I do like the little bit about Fairest and Cernunnos, that's it. I would say the Celtic studies of the depiction of the horned god of Celtic polytheism. Now, polytheism is the belief or worship of more than one god. Okay, so that's and this horned god Cernunnos is one of the many gods that are celebrated by the Wiccans. Now let's have a look. And I don't speak with any authority on Wicca. This is just what I'm finding out as I'm going along. Something I have an interest in, but I'm no way, shape or form and voice of authority on it. Now, let's have a look. Ace of Wands. I do like this one. The Ace of Wands. Isn't that a lovely card? Then we have our Two of Wands. Where is it in the UK that man is drawn in stone on one of the hillsides? Three of Wands. It's a nice Four of Wands. Nice and simple. Happy. There's a happy feeling to that card. Unlike the Five of Wands, where they're all scrapping and beating the living daylights out of each other. Six of Wands. Coming back victorious following that strap. Seven of Wands, still a little way to go. That fight's not yet over, but you're going to stand your ground. You're going to be heard. 8 of Wands. News of something coming to you rather quickly. News you're expecting coming to you sooner than you thought. 9 of Wands, you're nearly there. Just a little way to go, and then you're there. 10 of Wands. Delegate, give somebody else the load to carry. Look up, see what happiness lies ahead of you. Don't carry the troubles of the world on your back. Then we have our Princess of Wands. Oh, what a pretty card. Princess of Wands. She looks angelic like there. There you go. Prince of Wands. Our Queen of Wands. Looks like she's not been messed with. And our King of Wands actually looks less ferocious than the Queen. Then we move on to the next suit, which is the suit of Cups. It's a lovely Ace of Cups. I do like that. Ace. I'm going to just zip through these quite quickly so I'm not keeping you here all night. I've not got a glow of it. The glow must definitely be coming back off the screen. It's a 4 of Cups. 5 of Cups. I always find that a very sad card. 6. Excuse me, my bag's aching there. 7. 8. 9 of Cups. 10 of Cups, always a happy card, family orientated card. For the Princess of Cups. It's a beautiful Princess of Cups. Prince of Cups. These would be our page and our knight in our traditional deck. Queen of Cups. That's lovely. And the King of Cups. Oh, he looks like he's had his fill. Big fella there. Following the Cups, we have the Swords. And our Ace of Swords. That reminds me out of a scene from a film now. Which film would it be? Can't think. 2 of Cups. Swords, sorry, 2 of Swords. 3 of Swords. That is a much nicer 3 of Swords than the ones that I've seen in other decks. 4 of Swords. 5 of Swords. 6 of Swords. 7 of Swords. 8. Very much like our traditional 8 of Swords. 9, same thing, very traditional. 10, there again, yep, same familiar scene. Princess of Swords. Prince of Swords. Queen of Swords. And King of Swords. Let's colour to them. Very nice. Now let's carry on to our Pentacles. I do like this Ace of Pentacles. There we go, Ace of Pentacles. Is that lovely? Bear there. Is it a bear? Yes, it's a bear. Or is it? Not quite sure. 2 of Pentacles. 3 of Pentacles. Oh, I do like that 3 of Pentacles. 4 of Pentacles. A little miser there. Saving for a rainy day. 5 of Pentacles. A bit out there, out of the activity of things. 6 of Pentacles. Ah, yes, it's a nice 6 of Pentacles. That is all about kindness and giving. It's funny how different tarot decks, you can almost get, although say it's similar theme readings, quite different readings from different cards, you know, the way they're portrayed. 7 of Pentacles. I like that. 8 of Pentacles, another lovely one. 9. 10. Princess. Prince. Queen. Her shamanic drum. And the King of Pentacles. So what can I say? Another lovely deck. Am I pleased I have it? Yes, I am. I also like the fact that I could do further reading to look up the names that they've given the different characters. The Fairest, for instance, now as I say Kununos. I hope that's the correct pronunciation, but it sort of resonated well with me being Welsh. It was so really nice to see the Celtic names and traditions being used within a deck. So to the people that created this deck, I thank you as a Celt. So I'm going to love you and leave you on that note, folks. I hope you've enjoyed this walkthrough. Once I've tried reading the cards, I might do a review on what I feel about the decks, their pros and cons, and we'll see how we go from there. So this, like I say, is just a walkthrough, following on from this morning's. I'm not going to go on anymore, and I'm going to wish you a good night, have a good evening, and whatever it is you're doing, go ahead and enjoy. Good night.